Hey, Gen Chem Nation. This is Eric Ruggles, um, talking to you today about the syllabus. So, doing a walkthrough of the syllabus. I'll do this in class as well, but I'll probably go a little bit faster in class. Um, but just so that we have an idea of what's expected of you all, and also what's expected of me to provide, as far as information and things of that nature. So, um, I'm sure this will lead to questions. No problem asking me over email, Teams, or waiting till our first class. So um, here we have the syllabus in front of us. It's a general syllabus, meaning that it's for all of my sections. I have three sections of Gen Chem this semester, 1415A, C, and D. Um, so the syllabus is really written for all of those classes. It's pretty much the same, except for the time that we meet. Um, and I'll get to that in a second. So to begin, first off, you have to realize that the syllabus may change. I've never really seen it change in the past, but sometimes things do happen, and things have to be warranted. So to just realize it, that the syllabus is pretty, it is a tentative structure, but for the most part, is something that is what we're going to be following throughout the semester. And if there is a problem, then those things can be addressed and then likely changed. So I don't want that statement to make you feel anxious, or what type of changes is he going to make. Just realize that depending on the class, and things that happen throughout the semester, that we might find that certain ideas or certain schedules might change throughout the semester. That's all. Um, so, as far as the beginning, in terms of lecture, I am your lecturer, Eric Ruggles. You can call me Eric. You can call me Ruggles. You can call me Doc Ruggles. You can call me whatever else you want in your room. But in terms of just classroom environment, calling me Ruggles or Eric, or Professor Ruggles, those are all very nice accolades. So that's all you have to do in terms of trying to get a hold of me in the real experience. My office is in Innovation 333, so that's really literally above where our class is held. Um, I will also hold office hours within what I call the virtual ethereal, which is Teams. I'll be opening up our Teams environment here probably later today, and that's a great way to set up appointments and find ways to get help through myself. Uh, Email is a really easy way to get a hold of me. Um, Teams, you can also send me a Teams uh, message, kind of like a text message, but you can do that as well. And then as far as our lecture location, we are going to be in Innovation E102. Um, I say also Teams, but there's going to be some caveats within that structure of using the Teams streaming environment, which I will get into later in this conversation. Um, Office hours. Office hours. The first thing that I want to stress is these are by appointment, meaning that you have to contact me either over email or talk to me one on one or over Teams chat that you would like to set up a meeting to meet with me. In terms of in office hours, like where we're in the actual office or face to face, I do that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m. Um, I'm not asking students to just drop in. I've had this experience many times where students will drop in to try to have one question, but then there's four people in front of them, and depending on their questions, since it's a kind of a queue list, you might find as a student that you're not getting your question answered, and you're wasting your time, And I don't want a waste of your time. I want your time to be used so that we are learning. So that's why I really request appointments. I do half-hour appointments. They sometimes can go shorter, sometimes longer. But that way I can actually put your name in my calendar. That's the time that you're supposed to stop in, and then we can sit down, do what we need to do, answer the questions we need to answer, and then you get to move on to your next, thing that you need to do in the day, and I move on to also my next thing to do in the day. So that way you're not waiting in the hallway, waiting to get your answers, or I'm sorry, answers to your questions, um, and then being, a 2 hour or a 3 hour waste of time. So that's why I really believe in just, setting up these appointments. I know that's kind of a short time, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9:30 to 11:30 a.m., and I might open up some more in office hours as semester rolls out. But I also hold a lot of virtual times as well. So not only do we have this idea of in-office hours, but we also have time for virtual office hours, as well. And that really strives again from the idea that, okay, yes, we need to make appointments, but this is now something that is virtual. This is something over Teams. This is something that I can handle, within a much larger time frame. We don't have to worry about normal 9 to 5 hours. We can meet if we need to later in the evening. We can meet earlier in the morning. Finding that best time to meet with you as a student, and so that's what I want to stress is that, whether we're talking about in-office hours or virtual office hours, that I'm literally here to help you as a student all the time. And it's not up to me. I'm not going to be coming after you, but it's up to you to actually reach out to me, setting up those office hours, setting up those virtual appointments so that we can meet, talk, discuss, and really keep you, headed um, headed down that road to success for Gen Chem 1 and Gen Chem 2 as we're getting into Gen Chem 2. Um, in terms of class time, here are my classes. I've written all the classes. This is general syllabus. So we have the A section as Monday, Wednesday, Friday, noon to 12:50. The C section Tuesday, Thursday, late in the afternoon, 4:25 to 5:40. And then the D section also Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but in the super morning, right, 8:30 to 9:20 a.m. Um, so all these classes tend to be the same. I mean, obviously the Tuesday, Thursday class is a longer class than the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But I try to keep everyone on schedule, meaning at the end of each week, each section should be at the same point in time. So if you feel for whatever reason you might need to attend a different section of mine, feel free to do so. There might be a little bit of a variance because of Tuesday, Thursday versus Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But if you need to do that, for whatever's going on in your life, that's not a problem. And you don't need to ask me if you simply want to attend. That is fine with me. Course objectives. Basically, these are the topics that we are teaching this semester. Really every semester. These are the second half of general chemistry topics, which really, to be honest, this Gen Chem 2 is really what really clicks in terms of all the other sciences that are out there. So when we talk about STEM science, you know, um, in terms of relating, one type of science to another, which I think is the most exciting piece to science, like walking that line between chemistry and biology, or walking that line between material chemistry and physics. I think is very exciting. So these course objectives in the second semester really apply to all of these STEM sciences, especially when we're talking about biological sciences. Getting into biological environments where we're talking about pH, buffers, biological systems which are optimal at certain pHs or buffers, batteries that are optimal at certain types of redox potentials, um, even getting into some nuclear chemistry. But really, this is the second half of Gen Chem is really a good thrust into really what's really applicable to your future courses throughout the rest of your time at UVM. So those are our course objectives, going through all these topics throughout the textbook. And we are an N2 science course, which means we have a lab, which means not only do we do these ideas conceptually within the textbook, in terms of mathematics, in terms of concept, problem solving, we also do this within application to experiential learning within the lab, and putting your hands on, um, some active experiments, and applying them to what we are learning in lab. So this is a definite representation of a service science course for everyone to really go forward and use these tools in their future scientific experiments, not just chemistry. Textbook. This is the second half of Gen Chem, so most of us should be already good with the textbook. It is the same textbook as we used in the spring. I'm sorry, the fall semester with the chemistry atoms first approach. This is the fifth edition with the McGraw-Hill Company. We have a number of options to purchase it if you want. Some of you may have already bought this and you're fine to go. I think most of us are probably at that level. But if we need to re-up, we might need to. So if you really like the physical textbook, which is kind of how I roll, you would want the first choice. Um, but if you just simply want, the e-text, which is the same as the textbook, it's just the e-text version as opposed to the physical form, um, you could do digital access, and then just a question of how long do you want that digital access? Do you want it for 18 weeks, which is roughly just a semester, or do you want that for 52 weeks, which is more like a year? Um, so most of us already made these decisions, but and we'll come back to this idea of the textbook and also the idea of the Alex program, which we see here. That's kind of the big piece that we need in terms of doing online quizzes, online exams, is the Alex 360 piece. But it also is a good learning platform as well. And within that also incorporates the e-text. Again, I think e-text is definitely probably the most important thing, or the textbook, the most important thing to all of those options. Lecture. So, in terms of day to day, basically we'll be doing a kind of a standard chalkboard style lecture. I've tried to change this up over the years in terms of doing flipped classrooms and things of that nature, and I found that really the chalkboard style is something that students tend to latch on to the most. I will be doing that type of lecture. It won't be on the chalkboard, but I will be doing that type of lecture in basically on my iPad and digitize then over the overhead screen so that there is easy viewing from all angles of the lecture hall for everyone to see what's actually going on. In terms of lecture, not only do we have the chalkboard style lecture, but I will also involve other things such as active learning um, to the piece, meaning that I just won't be talking all the time. It will also then pose problems to the students, and then we can work together as a classroom, meaning that um, we can talk to one another, we can turn around, talk to people behind us, to the left, to the right, in front of us, to work out the problem. And oftentimes I'll be posting, um, or we will rather, be listening to music as those active learning sessions occur. Um, Basically, how the lecture is going to work in terms of homework is that I will be assigning homework problems before lecture, um, and it's up to you to try to attempt those. Now, I realize that we need the lecture to help us to understand what's going on with the chemistry, but I often find that if the student can figure that out on their own, that the learning is ginormous in terms of like, wow, I did this on my own. I made those connections on my own, and now I know how to do it, as opposed to some extra work, which isn't that we can't learn it, that like, oh, I have to look at Ruggles, talk to Ruggles, go through that aspect, and then like with some practice on my own, oh, now it makes sense, type of thing. So that's why I say, here it's most important that you do the homeworks. Now, I'm not saying prior to school or prior to our class. I'm saying prior to quizzes and homework. So realize that, we want to be, attempting that homework. We are going to be in a classroom here that facilitates your ability to try to do homework early, and be successful or not be as successful, um, or try it after the lectures. I mean, it really depends on your learning style. And so this is why I try to delve into universal design, meaning that some students like to try things on their own, new. Some students like to try things after they've heard about it, and now they're reinforcing that. So both are great strategies, and I incorporate both within the classroom. Uh, Homework or module homework. This is really, I would say, the meat and potatoes of the broccoli and seitan for the course. So within our module homework section of Brightspace, we find that there's going to be homework assignments that are broken down in terms of basically information. We can find these homework assignments within the content and activities link in Brightspace, and from there going to the 2-point module homework link. Um, Please don't worry about this. I know there's a lot there with that language. Um, I will be posting another video here to help us with understanding Brightspace and how the course is actually designed. But for right now, this is just that syllabus idea. So basically, what we have with the module homework is that each one of these modules we'll find contains lecture videos. Now, these are lecture videos that are basically supplementary. Realize that I'm going to be giving you everything that you need to know within the lecture environment, within the actual classroom. But if you miss class, or if you need a review, or some other helpful information, that there are lots of videos to help us to understand that within the lecture videos portion of the homework. Realize that when I put these into homework assignments, that these are purely supplemental. Um, and so that's what I want to say there. Extra supplementary content. Um, the big one that I like is the homework problem sets. Those are the most important, right? So these are the things that we'll be assigning uh, from week to week. These assignments are already part of the syllabus, which I'll show in a little while. Um, but I will try to organize that throughout the semester, meaning that as we go through the semester and cover certain information, I will say that, okay, now these problems are fair game. Like, we should be able to do these. And so you, as a student, need to make sure that you keep up with that homework problem set being the most important. Not the videos, which are extra supplemental. Notice that there's also extra supplemental because I do actual homework video examples to try to help with students. But both the lecture videos and the homework video options are me doing problems, me doing the work for the student. As the student, you need to be able to do that on your own. So that's why in purple here, I think those homework problem sets are the most important to make sure that you can do these problems on your own. You understand what equations to use, what constants to use, etc. Um, as I was saying a little bit earlier, I will break down the homework with a weekly homework assignment, and this will always happen into the announcements feature of Brightspace. And it'll basically tell you what's coming at you for the entire week of Gen Chem. Um, it's basically telling you what you can attack, what's fair game for that week, what we're going to discuss that week, and it's up to you to then decide as a student what's your plan to be able to get through the material, whether that be reading, whether that be just attending lectures and attacking the homework, whether that be checking out my lecture videos, what have you, to get through that homework through a weekly environment. Use these weekly assignments to keep everyone on track of what's going on in terms of even all these homework assignments can be found within the syllabus. That it's hard to regulate it with all your other classes. So I will be posting announcements to help us with those from week to week. Like, okay, what's expected of us from Gen Chem. So please realize that I will be sending lots of announcements. We'll get back into making sure we understand how to read those announcements later in another video. So what I'm asking in terms of the class period is basically to do your best, right? To just want to try to do your best engaging in the lectures. It'd be nice if you attempted the homework prior to the next class time. You know, but that's fine. If we depends on it's all about how our individual learning styles work. So if you want to try some of the homework early and then have questions going into the lecture, if you want to, listen to the lecture and then try those problems later, that's all fine. Depends on how you work. Um, so within that module homework, again, realize that there's a lot of different pieces to it. We have uh, lecture videos, but again, that's it's really supplementary material. It really allows you to go back at any point of the day or evening and look at these are really comprehensive lectures. Like they're probably going more into material than is technically needed, but it's a huge review for anyone that wants to join into those. And they're very similar to our class lectures, and since I've been teaching this since 2009, things haven't really changed that much. So you can look to those lecture videos for added support. Um, Still don't get your questions answered though, so that's why it's so important to come to class. Um, so the homework problem sets are really where it's at. Making sure we're doing those homework problems is super super important. And so maybe I should give that another sheen of just purple, because of that idea that it's yes, okay, we have supplementary videos that are out there that can help us, um, but this is really what's going to strengthen our connection, and so that's why I strongly encourage you to do as many problems as possible. Right? That's where the meat and potatoes, the broccoli and seitan are. Um, I also do those extra videos, in terms of homework videos, so that you can use those as an extra resource, just like our lecture videos, kind of like a supplementary material. If you need some extra help, you do have access to those. Uh, Basically me doing video problems as examples to help everyone out. Um, and then, in terms of the lecture, after every lecture, our course, we'll be posting things. I'll be posting things in PDF format, as well as a video format, and I'll be doing that in course materials. Um, in the past, I have streamed the class, and in this case, no, that's not going to happen. There's no streaming of the class time over Teams unless you provide proof, right? And that proof is basically looking at the idea of whether you're a student that is sick or suffer some type of family, issue and or whatever, that needs to be handled, or maybe you're a student and student activities have led you to go somewhere else where um, test time or whatever has been a conflict. Um, but there is no streaming of class. So I am not going to be offering that. In order to see what class has to offer, you need to come to class. I will allow, if I do get access accommodations from students that need that video streamed, I will stream it to them personally. So it's not that I'm trying to not do that. I will make sure that all the students are getting the information they need. So if you are sick, if you are, a student that's a sports a person is away, for athletics, uh, I should be getting those access accommodations, and then I can easily then grant those individuals teams access for streaming. But I feel that students should come to the classroom. So other than that, I will not be posting, I'm sorry, I will not be live streaming my classes. I will post the aftermath of it, the video aftermath of that. But you can't involve yourself then in questions, or really engaging in the classroom. So I really hope that everyone joins us. Okay, in terms of some others, that's just really the lecture piece, which is really kind of the biggest piece, but some other things that we got there, is there's a lot of extra practice that's available to us. I have old exams from 2018 to 2019 to 2021. Um, These are posted in course materials. I'll talk about that in our Bright Space communication. So this gives us a more of a real idea of what we might expect for mid-semester and final exams. Throughout the semester, I will offer recitations. These recitations will be offered Mondays from 6:45 to 7:45. These will be over Teams. This is technically in your schedule. Exam, uh, uh, your exam reservation. I think it's like 6:40 to 9:40 in your schedule. But this is reserving your exam time for general chemistry. So we don't use that exam time. Um, we have more of a flexible idea about our exams. At least I do. Uh, but we will be utilizing that time to help us. So on those Monday evenings when we're not in the midst of an exam week, we will be doing review sessions. These review sessions will be over Teams, and I'm not coming prepared to do a review session. I'm coming prepared, but the review session is about questions that are coming from the students. So what questions do the students have, and then I can elucidate on that. That could be mathematical, conceptual, exam based, what have you. It doesn't matter. I'll answer all those questions. Not only do we have exams throughout the semester, we also have homework quizzes. Um, we've done that in the past in terms of students that have had me. This platform that will be doing quizzes is over Alex, and I will be accepting the top 10 out of 11 quizzes this semester. So a little bit tighter than we saw last semester. Um, and this is all through the Alex program. So um, please look to a supplicant video where we are walking through how to get into Alex if you have not had that opportunity. If you have already got Alex and all of that, you're probably understand what's going on at this point. But I know that there are some students that might be a little bit on not understanding exactly this piece. So that'll come back in a supplementary talk within Brightspace. So exams, mid-semester exams. Basically, these are scheduled for 6:40 to 9:40 p.m. And there are technically no makeup dates, and that these exams are given basically online. So these are online exams given over Alex. The reason why we do, or the reason why I've chosen to do these exams over Alex, is to help the student with some ideas of flexibility, anxiety control, to try to place the student in the best position for them to be successful. So, um, basically, to extend the greatest flexibility, these exams will be made available on Sunday at 8 p.m. and they will be open until Sunday. I'm sorry, until Wednesday at 8 p.m. That means that you have basically 3 days to take the exam. Now, you don't have 3 days. You only have 3 hours to complete the exam. The exams are written to be roughly an hour and a half long. So everyone has basically essentially double time to complete the exam in terms of a 1.5 hour exam designed, but allowing for 3 hours of time to accomplish it. So there are no access accommodations uh, for these particular mid-semester exams. Um, so keep that in mind as well. Uh, so, but you can take the exam anywhere. Take it in your dorm room. You take it in the library. You have the ability. I would say try to keep it on your honor type of thing. but the exam will be written to try to really test you within the environment of the question. So if you, what you can do, search for answers, you might find that you run out of time because there's too many questions for you to be able to search for all of those answers. Um, if a student is actually doing their work and actually applying themselves in the correct manner, they will find that they're able to do these exams within an hour and a half and have no problem doing that without looking at anything. So that's the style that we're looking at here is, can we um, study, do our homework problem assessments, and apply that to this style of exam. The exams are completely multiple choice. Each exam, I believe, is worth 125 points, which we'll get to in the grading section of the syllabus. Um, uh, but this is an online environment, so you have the ability, like I said, just to remind us that even though our exam time is Monday night at 6:40, technically for us, I'm giving us this leeway to say, okay, it's going to open up Sunday at 8 p.m. It's going to close Wednesday at 8 p.m. As soon as you start the exam, you have 3 hours to complete it. Whenever that 3 hour clock runs out, that's when the clock runs out. But hopefully that allows you as a student to take the exam when you feel the most prepared, um, maybe the most comfortable. You know, I'm not sure. For me, taking the exam at 11 a.m. or I'm sorry, 11 p.m. or 3 a.m. I don't tend to work that way. Maybe you work like, oh, I work really good at 8 a.m., 6 a.m. I don't know. That's how I tend to think about things. But at any rate, this is how you work as a student. So hopefully that reduces some anxiety as far as how you want to take the exam, put you in a better space to take the exam in, and then we can go from there. Given this flexibility, there's not much room for extension here. But please let me know if there is something going on, that needs to be addressed. So again, once it closes at 8, nothing's left over, but really, it's more the important part at the top here. Um, that you have 3 hours to complete it. So once you start, you have 3 hours to complete it. There will be useful information sheets within the Alex program. I will also provide useful information sheets on Blackboard. I'm sorry, not Blackboard. Brightspace, if you prefer to choose those, to help you out with these types of calculations. Here are the exam dates. So basically, once a month, from February to March, April, and May. So notice that we have a sprawl of dates, meaning that again, it's up to you when you take that exam. Realize the time frames that you have to take the exam, when that exam closes, etc. And even for finals week, I've decided to open it up basically for the entire final week. So you have your choice to take that finals exam whenever you want to over the finals week to make it more applicable to your schedule, to your anxiety. I laugh, but I don't mean to laugh. But just when you feel most comfortable to do it, and I want to try to create that environment for you, to feel the most comfortable, to take these exams, to take these assessments when you feel like you're strongest. Um, Okay, so there's some extra credit options that we have. There's actually two. Um, the top one is something new, something really crazy. I'm trying to do this semester, and that just makes me insane. But extra credit for group exam questions. What does that mean? Well, basically, I'm trying to still help with this idea of peer-to-peer connections. I want us as students and as colleagues, really not going past students, getting into colleagues, where we like to talk about science. I know that's geeky, but that's what scientists do, is we get engaged with that, is to really keep that conversation going. If you had me last semester, I did a group idea with picking out your favorite scientists, and it was a good stuff. It was fun. It was fun for me to see what happened. Um, I was surprised and not surprised by some results. I know some of us really stuck to certain people, that inspired us, throughout the past. But I thought it was. I think I hope that and only those that participated can say whether they felt like it was an enjoyable. Well, let's say enjoyable, but enjoyable and like yes, I did meet some new people, type of thing. And so I want to keep that going with this idea of exam questions, and so that's where we're at here at the top, which is what's going on here. So I would like students to create their own exam questions. Now, this is a double-edged sword. We can have the student that's writing the easy question. We can have the student that's writing the super difficult question, right? So believe me, there's going to be my hand involved in this in terms of what questions I think are valid or not. But what I'm asking for is student-led question and answer. And so it's definitely something we're going to talk about more in class. But here's the beginning of it within the syllabus. Um, so I've created groups, and if you haven't before, I've already created groups in this aspect where you have, basically 7 to 10 people within your group, and you have basically uh, one criterion is that each week you must basically supply one question. And that question could be mathematical, that question could be conceptual, it doesn't matter. Each question that is supplied, granted you can only do one per week, is 3 extra credit points for the group. So the group needs to kind of work together in a sense to make sure that everyone is participating. I don't want one person of the group creating all the questions and all the other people of the group going along for the ride. I would like a simple, doesn't have to be right or wrong, a simple submittance of a question and answer for an exam. And as a group, what you should do is then hog that out in terms of your weekly schedule. Day one, week one, it's David. Week two, it's Kimberly. Week three, it's how she's. It doesn't matter. Then just having a schedule to then put those assignments within the extra credit. So if you do that, that's roughly about 4% extra credit if the whole group participates all together. What I'm going to do is take those questions and make sure that they're A, accurate, and B, you know, relevant or fair. Um, and if they fit those requirements by me, I'm going to be putting those into exams and quizzes. So I'm asking you for some extra credit as a student, as the group of students, to say, like, okay, this is what I feel is fair to be tested on. This is a fair question. Um, I get that comment a lot, like, oh, there's not as fair questions. Well, I say, well, look at the homework that I've assigned. But okay, let's delve into that a little bit more. Let's delve into it. Like, okay, let some of those questions be created by the students, and then go from there. So, so that's what this extra credit process of the exam questions is, that week to week I will be um, reminding you of, like, okay, exam question time. You have, this time to do it, get it answered, or provide it, and we will go from there. We'll go into more particulars in terms of the formatting of it and all that. That's already posted up into Brightspace, but I would definitely do a little bit of a more of a video or even in class topic discussion about this to make sure that we're getting those extra credit points, because I know we all want them. Um, but this will be a great way to, I think, I don't know, we'll see. I think it's going to be a great way to see, like, okay, let's create some new homework problems that you as the student population feel is fair. And let's go from there. So that's one bit of extra credit that we'll be doing. Again, that's going to roughly be about, a half a percentage, which is already better than rounding. Um, and then we will be doing another mindfulness study. For those that didn't have me last semester, I participated in this meditation study, which a few of my colleagues and I are working on, um, to try to see if there's a connection between um, the students and their happiness, and along with the rigors of courses and the rigors of society that are around us, within our campus. Um, and so we've been working with um, science students to try to figure out if there is a connection. This is something that's new. Started last semester. Um, had a lot of fantastic responses, um, which I was really happy about. Um, and we're going to continue it this next semester. We're not going to do it as stringent as we did last semester. I'm still trying to focus in on exactly how many times we'll be doing some meditation, but I would say once to twice a week, depending on our course load, is when we'll be kind of experimenting with, just like taking a 3 minute break, 5 minute break, and seeing how that affects us throughout the semester, and not only affecting us throughout the chemistry semester, but how that affects us through other classes, other obstacles that are actually out there. Maybe that's family, you know, maybe that's friends, maybe that's supposed friends. Um, but I think I personally enjoy meditation to a great degree, to try to find just a focal point and work with it. Um, and I think that a lot of students could benefit from it. And so that's why I'm still a strong advocate to this program here of this mindfulness study, um, because I think it, for those students that need it, you can really glean a lot from it. And from those students that don't think they need it, if they would try it, they would glean a lot from it. That's all. Like I think there's a wealth there to help us. But that'll be just basically looking at the beginning of classroom style, where I will talk about some meditative processes, but really not much talking. Maybe really just much engaging and like, okay, here's some 3 minute exercises to help us out, or here's some 3 minute exercises without any internet to help us out, in terms of trying to collect our thoughts, trying to put ourselves in a better space, and then move on to whatever is whatever we're trying to confront in that particular environment. And with the mindfulness study, we'll be finding more updates coming our way as the semester begins. It won't start right away. We have to have some logistical concerns, making sure that everyone understands what the study is, as well as being able to handle the surveys, making sure that the surveys are actually entered, and things of that nature. Some issues that we've had last semester that we're trying to create for this semester. Okay, that takes us to the next segment of the syllabus, which is laboratory. Uh, Lab is definitely something that's a little bit segmented from the lecture, meaning that we have Christine Cardillo, who is our lab director, and she um, basically deals with everything with the Chem 1400 Part 1 and Chem 1450 Part 2 general chemistry sections. So this is information that you've had last semester as far as lab manuals, lab notebook, safety eyewear, lab attire, what we should have prior to lab, as well as attendance, are all here described. The biggest pieces, I think, are lab attire, safety wear, and attendance. These have to do with safety as well as your grades. So, when we're in the lab, we're working with chemicals, so making sure our eyes are protected is super important. Um, Making sure our body is protected is also super important as far as safety eyewear and lab attire are concerned. You can be easily escorted out of the lab and get a 0 for the lab if you do not have the proper clothing or safety requirements. So keep that in mind. Our TAs tend to be really good and really helpful. So obviously they might allow you to run back to your home dorm and bring the proper attire or information back, but you should plan ahead accordingly. Attendance is the same as last semester, meaning that for the experiential learning portion of the course, you must finish at least 2 of those courses. So if you miss two, you know, two labs in terms of handing in within the course of the semester, you receive an automatic F for the course. Now that's not an F for the lab portion. That's an F for the entire portion of the class. So please make sure that you are, allowing us to know what's going on. We don't want you to fall into this criterion. We want you all to pass the course. We all want you to stay here. So making sure you just keep us in the loop as far as what is going on, so that we can best help you in terms of sickness or family matters or what else is happening on in your private life, outside of that academic life, to allow us to help you. Please let us know. Um, there are laboratory videos for each class, which we're kind of seeing here. And the lab format is then shown below, which is roughly about 3 hours, with post lab and pre-lab quizzes, etc., going on within the actual lab experimentation. Um, these will definitely all be brought to you into more detail once you have that first laboratory class. So again, we have a different kind of style in terms of teaching the lecture, which is mine, compared to teaching the lab, which is then, the TAs and Christine. So you will find you'll have a syllabus for the lab within your lab organization within Brightspace. Course grades. Course grades. We really rely on posting course grades at the very end of the semester, so we don't really post letter grades uh, here, but they tend to resemble similar grades in terms of your past grades in other classes. But there definitely is a a curve, if you will, but that really only happens at the very end of the semester. So in terms of course grades, we really have, in terms of the lecture, we have three different things. We have mid-semester exam points, three exams, so each exam is 125, so that allows us for 375 points that are contributed to mid-semester exams. We have homework quizzes. There's 9 out of 10 that are given, and so that would accrue to 125 points for the homework quizzes. And then finally, the final exam score, which is 250 points. So that adds up to a total of 750 total points for the lecture portion of the course. And if we look at credits, the lecture portion is 3 credits, the lab is 1 credit. So what we'll find is my course grade is out of 1,000 points. So 750, 3/4 of the grades comes from the lecture. So that's why we have 3 credits from the lecture. And then 1/4 comes from the lab, and that's why we have then, 250 points from the actual lab. So that's how that breaks down. In terms of our exams, we have basically, every exam is worth 125 points. I apologize, a little bit of an error there. I should read 250 points, not, let's get this even better. In terms of our final exam, we realize that the mid-semester exams only count for one particular unit. So the lowest mid-semester exam will be replaced by the final. Its percentage. Now, we have to make sure that the final exam is actually higher than the lowest semester exam. So we're trying to, or I'm trying to, create an environment where you have, throughout the semester, we always have a low ball exam. Okay, well, we're not dead in the water with that low ball exam, that the final exam can count twice. So if we get a exam score on the final that is higher than the lowest mid-semester exam score, then that final is actually going to count twice for that particular exam. So basically, the exam is dropped. Now, again, it's not just necessarily dropped. You have to have the final exam be higher than your lowest mid-semester exam score for that to be actually dropped. We have 2 examples of that. The one where one is replaced, which would be example 1. Here, notice that we have the 45, but in terms of the second trial run with the final, we have a 75. So we see that replacement occurring. In the bottom example, example 2, we find that's a scenario that does not actually happen, where we really have the lowest being a 70 um, compared to the 68 for the final. So there is no change in score here happening. So if you, like we see in example 1, if you find that, oh, hey, yes, I got a 45% on exam 2, but I kept through it, and then I got a 75% on the final. Well, that 75% is higher than exam 2, so it replaces that score. So you get a 75% on both exam 2 and the final. Or with example 2, if you find that your 3 mid-semester exam scores are lower than your final exam score, like we see here, well, then nothing is going to change and everything is going to be the same and going forward to your final score calculation. We then have laboratory, which is really specifically to our TAs and Christine Cartillo, our lab director. So if you have any questions about the laboratory breakdown and points accrued there, please contact your TA or Christine Cartillo, our lab director. And then we just finally have points assigned to, what we get, a 79% or a 73.75%, and how that relates to our score for that particular year. All of us come down at the very end of the semester and sit down and look at grades and grade boundaries to make sure that everything is fair. So that's why we hold off on to grade letters until the very end. Lastly, with points, academic integrity. Basically, this is saying don't cheat. I've had to deal with this in the past. I hate feeling, I hate feeling like I'm the bad guy, but um, if you're cheating within the classroom, then you're not following the rules that we have here in terms of being successful in class. So if you are caught cheating, you will be brought up to the code of academic integrity, um, possibly be sidelined, possibly be expelled. Depends on the nature of what's going on. UVM is a great institution, a great learning institution. There's so much help here within your peer group, within teachers, within your upper peer group, which you don't really understand maybe from upper level students. Um, Help is out there. Just reach out. Just reach out. No need to cheat. Um, Going forward through the syllabus, we have the tentative lecture schedule. This is tentative because just kind of my plan. We'll see how it goes. We'll never be usually we'll never be in front of the schedule. We'll always be behind the schedule. So, but here we can find from week to week what's going on, the assignments that are coming our way in terms of problem assignments, homework assignments that we see off to the far right. So if we look at the table, we see dates on the left, chapters in the middle, and then assignments on the right. As we go through the semester, I will be making sure that we are clear on assignments. So please realize that in this particular scenario, I'm giving assignments by chapter. And then throughout our normal semester, I will be giving out announcements to break down these chapter assignments so that they align with what we're talking about that day in class or that week in class. But here's a whole avenue for you to see what's coming your way as far as like January 29th, the last day to add drop, exam 1, President's Day, Exam 2, town meeting day, spring break, which we already might be looking forward to. But then off to the right, you notice as we keep going down, there's, chapter problems from each chapter as as they're given to us as we approach them. So here is giving you everything that's happening the whole semester, in terms of exams. What information is going to be on these exams, problems that'll be assigned throughout the semester. But I also will be giving lots of announcements over Brightspace to make sure that we are on base with the schedule, what assignments are coming our way, what due dates are coming our way, etc. It takes us to the fifth portion of the syllabus, which is the lab portion. So the lab portion just tells us what's going on, our agenda for the lab from week to week. Notice we don't start that first week. We usually start the second week with check-in, and then really labs really begin the third week, getting into experimentation. So here what you have is basically the experiments and the lecture coordination, correlation to the lab experiment. And then you need to access your lab portion of the course through Brightspace, to really then get out the actual experimental information, sheets that you need to be filled in as far as experimental data, sheets filled in as far as calculations and post-lab questions, etc., need to be accessed through your lab website. So keep that in mind. But here's what will be covered in lab, as whereas the holidays that exist with lab, such as President's Week, Town Meeting Week, and Spring Break Week. At the end of the syllabus, we have accommodations. Accommodations deal with a bunch of different scenarios. For students that have access accommodations, you need to contact me. Let me know what those access accommodations are. We've already talked about the idea of test accommodations. In terms of mid-semester exams, there are no test accommodations in terms of time requirements. All exams are written to be 1.5 hours, so everyone has double time. That's different from the final exam. So for the final exam, any student that does have time accommodations, I will allow that for the final exam because of the cumulative nature that the final exam is. So that's just something we have to schedule near the end of the semester for those students that have that accommodation. Other accommodations, depending on what's going on, you need to just let me know. We need to talk about this early in the semester just to make sure that we're aware of the accommodations and whether I can allow them to happen or whether or not, depending on just the course structure and how it works. Normally, it's usually time requirements, and that's something I think has been easy to accomplish in the past. Religious holidays. I am religious. I am Christian. I do know about Festivus, but I don't know about all the other holidays. So all I'm saying is, if you are, if 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 you are a student who practices religiously, you know what dates are important to you in terms of holidays and that should be well received. And I have no problem with that. You just need to let me know what those days are. I don't have a running list of all the dates for the religious practices. I know there's a lot of fasting that can occur. I know there's a lot of times where we're definitely going to be put into a situation where we might not be in our best exam mode. So, given our or given my way of looking at exams, as far as giving everyone a few days to do the exam, I think that usually um, allows us all to like get around that religious idea, or that access accommodation idea for holidays. Um, but if it doesn't, please let me know. I'm not unwilling. I just need to hear it from the student so that we can talk about it and then figure out the best option plan. So if you do feel there are some religious holidays that are going to set you up to be maybe not successful, please let me know. Um, and then there's accommodations as far as sickness. If you're sick, it doesn't matter if it's COVID or the flu. It does not matter. You need to contact your dean's office. Your dean's office needs to prove the sickness, and then they will let us know, your teachers, exactly what accommodations need to be provided. Um, you can go to the health facility, but the health facility does not give you accommodations. You have to contact your dean's office. This is explicit within the student handbook as well as here. Um, if you just say that I'm sick, I'm sorry, that's not what I need. You need to go through the dean's office. You need to take that extra step to contact them to verify the illness, and then we can go forward from there in terms of accommodations. Now, that can be whether that be COVID accommodations or simple flu accommodations or simple cold accommodations, right? But that step needs to actually happen. Below the accommodations, we have then a number of links to help you in terms of maybe finding some new areas of access. One would be health and safety, which is important in terms of health and well-being to make sure that we're healthy, but also if we feel that we're mentally not where we want to be, that maybe we're mentally a little bit depressed or something of that nature, listen to the to CAPS or our counseling area that's on campus. I have a phone number there, or CARE, which is another piece to the CAPS and Center for Health and Wellbeing um, department that really helps. Really, let's help us to navigate all these new things that are coming our way within our new university and our new atmosphere, but also how that's coupled to the past and where we've come from. Um, Alcohol and cannabis. Just to let you know, you might not be aware, but alcohol and cannabis don't really lend us to learning. So just putting it out there that that if we want to learn, maybe we want to take a step back from those two ideas. Um, some things I think are super important are within the last piece in terms of finding connections. Our DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion part of the campus, where we have the Interfaith Center, the Mosaic Center for Students of Color, the Prism Center, the Women and Gender Equity Center. These are all fantastic places to go and talk with students, as well as faculty, to find new connections, but new connections that make sense, and new philosophies and new ideas that resonate with the student class. And I can say that these are great avenues to just pop in, because they just can add so much to your experience. Lastly, grade appeals. I haven't heard too much about that, but if you want to look at grade appeals, there you go. And then FERPA, the very end, meaning that if your parents talk to me, I will not talk to them. I will not talk to them. You're an adult, I talk to you. I do not talk to the parent. So Don't worry, I will never discuss any grades with your mom or your dad or whatever. I will only discuss grades with you or a UVM teacher or a UVM counselor, or someone of the UVM community. Never with your family. I will only do that with you. So please feel free, meaning that when you need to talk to someone, realize that you can come to me, and I am not going to push that back on to your family, or I would treat it just, you are my, I wouldn't say patient, I think it's bad. You're my student. I want to give you the care that you need. So let's figure out how best to actually do that. So that is the full syllabus. Quite a lot. I'm sorry. But I'd like to walk through it in a video sense so that you can all maybe take it in. Don't worry, we'll be walking through this a little bit faster in class, but this hopefully maybe allows for some students to get some questions answered